Thank you all so much for coming. We'll give, we got a lot in store for tonight, so we'll give folks a chance to quickly settle in, and then I'll begin so we don't lose any time. Okay, so we'll just get started because, like I said, we have quite a show in front of us today. So we'd like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which Carleton University and Ottawa Catholic School Board students gather to learn is the traditional and unceded territory of the Algonquin Nation. We do this acknowledgement in honor of the people who have been here since time immemorial and the treaty agreements and unceded lands of Turtle Island. So thank you again for joining us tonight. My name is Sarah George, and I'm an incoming PhD student in the Department of Sociology and Anthropology at Carleton University. I'm also the instructor for this course, so I'll be providing a brief introduction before we get started. Just for some housekeeping, just so you're all aware, we'll be recording the event tonight so that the students' hard work can be posted on the Department of Sociology's website. The event tonight is a webinar, so you'll notice that there's a Q&A tab and a chat at the bottom, as well as the option for you to raise your hand. So if you're here watching, that space at the bottom there is for you. Feel free to enter any questions or thoughts you may have during the presentations or during the Q&A period, and the moderator will ensure that we get to you. If you'd like to say your question out loud or have your video turned on, please raise your hand and we'll be sure to unmute you. Please also let us know if you'd like your camera on, and we can do that as well. So we chose to use a webinar style tonight to ensure that the presentation of the plays are seamless. So we'll also have some brief instruction in the chat in terms of how to set up your view so that you can see the speakers the same way that we are. So we encourage you very much to use the Q&A tab, as it will not disturb the presentations. So another important thing is just please keep in mind that this event is intended to bring folks together in order to reflect on and thoughtfully discuss complex and sensitive topics. So as a group, we've taken great care to ensure that the stories we're telling are not doing any harm to those attending. Rather, our stories are intended to shed light on social oppression. So as we join in these discussions together, we encourage everyone to keep this in mind and be respectful of one another, of the students, and of the space as we come together to engage with these issues. To provide you with an overview of what to expect, we're going to have an interactive night, including an opening presentation from Just Jamal the Poet, and a question and answer period, 2 student written and performed plays, and a short discussion after those as well. So this presentation is a culmination of a third-year course in Sociology and Anthropology department developed by Professor Warren Clark. The course, titled Race, Gender, and Society Through the Arts, is a unique course in which third-year sociology students study social oppression for 5 weeks and then work with high school students to write plays that engage the community. This year, the students are addressing anti-Black racism and some of its intersections. And our emphasis was on the participation of high school students who are African, Caribbean, and Black. Before we get started, I just have to say that this project would not have been possible without the partnership of Ottawa's Catholic District School Board, via Graham Mastersmith, the creative arts consultant for grades 7 through 12, who also supported the project last year, and Jolie Beatrice Toussaint, who's the equity and diversity consultant and has been central to the project this year. So I'd like to give them a few minutes to say a few words.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jolie Beatrice Toussaint. I'm the equity consultant at the Ottawa Catholic School Board, and I'm really pleased to be part of this project and to have our students who are part of our Black Students Association within our school to participate with our Halton University undergraduate students. It's been a very enriching experience for me as well as for the students. And I'm sure you're going to be very pleased with their work tonight. I will also like to mention that the work, the partnership that we have developed and that we continue to have with Carleton University aligns well with our school board's mandate and our equity, diversity, and inclusion framework, which encourages us to address racism, among which anti-Black racism, just like like in the play tonight, and other form of discrimination and other form of inequity. And also, it also aligns with our commitment with our declaration in support of the United Nations decade of International Decade for People of African Descent, which is ongoing until 2024. So I'll pass it over to Graham to say his piece, and I thank you again for joining us tonight for this event.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Graham Mastersmith. I'm the Creative Arts Consultant for grades 7 to 12 with the Ottawa Catholic School Board. And as was mentioned, this is my second year involved in this project, this partnership, and I truly can't say enough about how valuable it is. We have only 3 students involved. They're all from St. Peter's High School, but what an experience for them to be involved in a third-year sociology class and work together with these, mature students in university, experience a little bit of university life, and then work on creating plays that work towards eliminating and addressing social oppression and anti-Black racism. So really a cool experience. One of the things I want to say is thank you to Professor Sarah George and all the university students. You've been so warm and welcoming to our students, to Ryan, Joy, and Maeva, and myself. And it was just a great creative thing to be involved in this project. And I only hope it continues with more of our students involved in the partnership next year. And wouldn't it be amazing if this happened in real life and we were on a stage and it actually was a dramatic play? So something hopefully to happen in the future. But regardless, I do feel that the plays created tonight are a small essential step in the right direction as they empower student voice and get you thinking and hopefully acting to end discrimination and ensure equity and inclusion of all peoples, regardless of race, gender, or social status. So thanks very much, and I hope you enjoyed tonight's presentation.
Thank you both so much. And as Graham mentioned, we also want to thank the BSA at St. Peter's High School and Mr. Abraham Boyle for his support with this project and helping recruit students for this project. We really couldn't have done this without you. And lastly, we had a great deal of help with writing these plays. We had support from a well-known playwright in Toronto, Troy Crossfield, who we'd like to thank for his help with this project. So Troy, I'd also invite you to say a few words.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes,
Okay,
we
cool.
can.
Just want to make sure because sometimes my stuff is raggedy. Man, firstly, I just want to thank everyone.
Oh, we lost you.
Man, this thing has just been tripping. Yeah, firstly, I want to thank all the students. You guys worked so hard on this. It was a pleasure to work with everybody. And like, writing is such like, some people find it to be hard. Some people find it to be easy, but it comes from the heart, And these stories, I could tell that they were authentic pieces to the heart, from a lot of the students, because it was just so natural. I didn't have to do much help in these areas, but what I hope tonight is that everybody can get to see, some of the issues that we do, face in our communities, and it's never a thing for me with my writing to change people's minds. It's only a thing for me to let people be aware, you know? So you guys have done an amazing job of letting people be aware. Your writing, your talent skills have been so amazing. I'm so proud of everybody, and I'm really excited for, you know, everybody to see these pieces tonight. And thank you so much for inviting me, Sarah, into this, you know, into this program once again. And I really hope to work with y'all in the future again. And yeah, thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much, Troy. And Troy is also somebody who helped develop this course. So it was really great for him to extend his hand to me as I took it on for the first time. So I really appreciate that, Troy. And I look forward to working with you again. And I want to extend my thanks to everybody who made this project possible. And now that we've done that, I would like to start the show. So I will introduce our first performer. Just Jamal the Poet is an award-winning poet, arts educator, creative entrepreneur, songwriter, and recording performance artist. He has brought his work to audiences nationally and abroad and served as Ottawa's Poet Laureate from 2017 to 2019, as well as Carleton University's Music Program Artist in Residence for the 2019-2020 school year. He also founded the Origin Arts and Community Center with his fellow MASC artist, Jackie Dutoit. His defining moments occur when he makes intimate connections with his participants during workshops and performance sets. His topics range from emotional maturity to world issues, from parenting to the human condition. He resides in Ottawa, Canada, with his wife and 6 children. Thank you so much, Jamal, for honoring us tonight. I'll pass it off to you.
Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning in from. Greetings. My name is Jamal Jackson Rogers, also referred to from time to time as just Jamal the Poet. First of all, I am honored and I am grateful to be able to spend some time with y'all, to exchange, to figure things out as we move forward and we try to find our way navigating through life, but also to share with you a little bit of my story. Not that my story is more important than anybody else's here this evening, but to hopefully spark or encourage or enhance the flame that is in you, to live life to your fullest without second guessing yourself, without doubt, without fear. So thank you to Carleton University. Thank you to the Ottawa Catholic School Board. And thank you to, of course, all of the students and in the classes, the 3 students that participated to make these amazing pieces that can't wait to dive into. So I'll be sharing with you some poetry of mine. I'm a poet, songwriter, performing artist. When it comes to what I practice as an art form, I'm also an arts educator and a creative entrepreneur and a mentor. So in between these poems that I have prepared for you this evening, I'll be giving you some context to the poems, providing some context to the poems, and then probably providing a bit more of my story, my background story as well. There will be about 10 minutes for us to have an exchange. So afterwards, we can talk for about 10 minutes where you can ask me questions about my life, the art that I practice, or the experiences or information that I've retained from going through life as an artist, as a human, and as someone who is of brown skin color, melanated skin color. So I thought this evening I would start out with something that I don't generally start out with, and I'm going to start out with an a cappella of a rap verse that I wrote, and it's unreleased, and I'm actually going to be sharing unreleased work, some unreleased work this evening, meaning it hasn't been published on any platforms in any of my in any public sphere. And these unreleased pieces are related to tonight's theme, of course, but as well, I feel like sitting in a space of vulnerability is a healthy space for me these days, to be able to accept the things that I'm either growing into, or the things that I have yet to understand about myself or about the world, and to let the world see me as human, because I feel sometimes artists get put on this pedestal as if they don't have places in their life where they can work towards betterment or, gain more knowledge. And that's a dangerous position to be in. I never want to put in that position. So demonstrating a little bit of vulnerability through pieces that I haven't performed or shared publicly, it helps you all to connect with me on, I would imagine, a more real exchange, and not something that is the artist and the audience alone. So here we go. This verse, it's part of a song that I have yet to finish, but it is a complete verse. It's called Story Tell, and I'll provide some more context afterwards. Can I have this moment to confide in you? I want to share my journey because I'm walking in my truth. I wake up in the morning and I feel impending doom, so I grab a pen and pad, maybe lighten up the mood. See, lately I've been thinking about the things I've been through. Like, why did I survive all the trials in my youth? When nearly everybody from the hood I once knew ended up locked up, selling drugs and other use. My father was a gangster, never had a tool. Trauma as a child, he would lose a few screws. Battled with his anger, shoot, I know it's no excuse. Hurt people, cause that's a cycle of abuse. And we got it good. Plenty licking when we tripping on his rules, huh? Had to go to school, cover up the bruise. Kids can be rude, grew up way too soon. Banks that fed us food. I was always the dude that could show you where the shelters in the city stood. I almost lost my life when my brother fought the Bloods. Proud of my roots and even janky ass boots. See the scarf was a neck warmer and a winter toque. See, all I'm trying to do is inspire you. The cup is half full, the view is what you choose. You feel in prison, but no matter what the cell, your past ain't the present, time to get up out this jail. So that verse is from a song that I haven't recorded, but when I wrote that verse, to me it was only a matter of time that I would write a verse like that. I apologize for the stumbles and the errors. Again, it's unreleased work, rehearsed only for this evening. But this piece, titled Story Tell, this piece is, I realized at one point, when did I write this? January of this year. I realized that I've been writing since I was 9 years old. I'm now 39 years old. I've been writing for 30 years, but professionally I've been an oral expressionist, and I've been a writer since 2012. Professionally is when I came into myself as a professional writer, performer, poet, and so on. And from all of the poems, presentations, anything that I've ever created, I realized this year that there are certain things about my story that I haven't been sharing. And I knew that it's not authentic for me to continue to hold some of these stories in, to continue to walk with these stories when I knew that they affect me as I keep them in, but they are also, they don't do me justice if I hold them in. In fact, they could be stories that others can relate to as well. So in my poems, I'm going to be sharing some things that it may feel uncomfortable to hear, like even when I just said it. And I believed I probably stumbled on this verse, the way I did was because I was nervous about saying some of the things, the truths that were my story. But then when I was thinking about why didn't I share these truths, it's because I always thought that either one, if I share my truth, I will be put into a box, and that box is, that's just the Black experience. That's what all Black kids go through. Oh, well, big deal. And so therefore, my story holds little value, because in the world where storytelling is like content, it's the content that we practically live off of. Stories are being told all around us. I felt like I didn't want my story of trauma as a child, abuse as a child, difficulty growing up as a child, I didn't want that to become the only story and narrative that someone paints me with, because as a Black man, I've been painted with so many brushes and so many stereotypes that when I became knowledgeable of how the world paints me and doesn't allow me to, well, tries to suppress my full image, I should say, or attempts to suppress my full image, because I wouldn't say they don't allow me. I think permissions about who I am and how I express myself, it ultimately comes up, it becomes my responsibility at some point in my life. But the world attempts to suppress my fuller identity. And so speaking about trauma as a Black man has been something in my poetry I've tended to avoid, because I didn't want to be painted as the pitiful, poet. One who when you hear their poetry, you are to have pity for them. I don't believe pity serves me well in my journey towards my fullest expression, enhancing myself. I believe solidarity, if anybody wants to be a supporter of who I am or what I do, is one of the effective ways, and pity is not what I request. But in 2022, considering the whole world has gone through some difficult times, we are still going through difficult times, I admitted to myself it was time for me to let go of some things that I've been carrying as a Black person, as a melanated person. And one of the things is, yes, speaking my truth. So in this verse, I start off by saying, can I have this moment to confide in you? I want to share my journey because I'm walking in my truth. 2022, y'all, it's time to walk in our truth. I wake up in the morning and I feel impending doom. Who didn't feel impending doom at some point during 2022? Turn on your social media, turn on the news. News is practically our social media for many of us, right? Connect with someone. Someone's talking about something that's happening in the world that's traumatic. And I figured this is the tone of the times. So I grab my pen and pad, maybe lighten up the mood. For me, writing is cathartic, it's therapeutic. As a poet, I've found comfort for many years in using metaphors, symbolism, and, what do we call this? Triple and double entendres to hide my pain, to mask it, so that I am not painted in this box of the hurting, pitiful Black poet that writes only about their trauma. Because I know that the moment I share 2 or 3 poems about that energy is what people attach to me. And as a Black man, I've realized I have to be so careful of how people narrate or how they interfere with my narrative, my personal narrative. See, lately I've been thinking about the things I've been through, like why did I survive all the trials in my youth? I was thinking about, what's that term they use? Survivor's guilt. Coming from the neighborhood that I grew up in Ottawa, the west end of Ottawa, from 9 years old until I was until I was 17, and the things that I experienced in this neighborhood, a lot of my friends, and I go on to say it into the next line, a lot of my friends, family members, peers, just neighbors, they ended up locked up selling drugs, or now they use. And this is fact. It's not even exaggeration. As an artist, we tend to sometimes lean on hyperboles to express our stories, and it's totally okay. An artist has artistic license, creative license, to use exaggerations to enhance the story and to make it the imagination bloom a bit more. And especially hip-hop artists, rap artists, they will tend to do this. I personally don't do it in my writing or my performance, and so none of what I share with you is exaggerated. It's really difficult to find my closest peers who haven't been to jail or haven't been involved in what we call street crime. And I wouldn't say it's because these actions and these behaviors is what anybody in our families and our community wanted us to go ahead and do or wanted us to be associated with. But a system of oppression has left Black people behind. And we'll get into that, a point I want to make later. But yeah, and because of that, a lot of my associates and my peers experienced something to this degree of drug use, street crime, and abuse. And so I won't continue the entire verse, but I also talk about the anger that I experienced from my father growing up and the trauma that he experienced and the pressure. It's something that my father and I are talking about a lot right now, since I am now a father. My father, he raised 6 children, and he's introducing us to this idea of the pressure that Black people, Black families have, and the level of pressure when it comes to failing or succeeding is so high that at times, and not for every family, that pressure will express itself outwardly. And in my home, it was through physical violence, and it caused me to leave home at 17 years old, and I was homeless for 2 years. That At that time, even at 17 years old, I recognized that my father loves me, and if his life was different, yes, I still hold him accountable. But if his life didn't have the types of pressures, societal pressures that he had to experience, from some of it from being a black man, but others from other things, that pressure wouldn't have been placed onto me. So I do say in the line, hurt people, that's the cycle of abuse. And it was young that I was able to accept that and recognize that hurt people do hurt people. But I started thinking about, why do black people hurt their own people too? Because it's a truth, and I wanted to explore that. And because I explored it, I wanted that truth to come out in the writing. Now, disclaimer, all people hurt their own people, right? It's not just a black thing. However, in this case, I'm telling my truth, and I didn't want to hold anything back. So even if it makes my community, if it puts some accountability on my community that I identify with as an ethnicity, even if it places some accountability on their plate, this was okay for me, and that's another thing I wasn't comfortable sharing. And I'll get to talking more about why the silence. Why do black people silence themselves? Why do we silence our stories? So that piece talks about, the struggles I went through from growing up and knowing where all the food banks were. I have a line that I say, and banks that fed us food. I could tell you even today, not that I'm fortunate where I don't have to go to food banks anymore, but growing up and going to food banks was a very common thing for me. And knowing where the different ones were so we can get different food, and we can get, because when you apply to a food bank, they put your name on a list. And once your name is on that list, you have a limited amount of times you can attend that food bank. So my dad, because there was a lot of children in our family, we had to apply at different food banks around the city to get food. And that lasted for a long time. And then, of course, just, the navigating the school life and how that was difficult. I was pointed out for everything from the shape of my lips to the accent of my Caribbean accent. And I was teased from, the fact that I went to food banks or lived in shelters. Okay, I also I could tell you where all the shelters were. I could tell you where all the shelters are in the city as well, too, for families that are refugees or immigrants or homeless families, because I lived in them, practically all of them, except for if there's ones way out in suburbs, which there aren't, as far as I know. Suburb areas don't tend to build shelters for people, but I knew where the majority of the shelters were as well. So I'm giving you a little bit of context of my background and my experience and the things that I had to go through to be where I'm sitting today. And I'm thankful that this verse came out of me. As much as I'm still nervous, I was nervous to recite it and open with it. As much as there's some apprehension in me exchanging or expressing it, I know that it's my truth. It's part of my story. And trying to deny that is not good for my growth. A student told me today in a workshop that I had, grade 8 student in York Street Public School. This student rarely shares his work with the class, and he seems to be a student that sitting down for long periods of time is not their jam. But then he said at one point, he goes, growing is living and living is growing. I had asked him a question about the importance of growth. And this student who doesn't speak, doesn't participate in the writing workshop, he put his hand up and he said, growing is living and living is growing. And to me, that was incredibly profound, because what I realized in my growth is that when you suppress yourself, even from a scientific or a biological point of view, you are shrinking your growth. You are limiting your growth psychologically, emotionally, physically. And we know that Black individuals, because of the pervasiveness of colonialism, the horrid experiences that communities, villages, nations of people have experienced due to colonialism, suppression in our growth is a manifestation of colonialism. Suppression in your growth. And part of that suppression manifests itself or presents itself as silencing ourselves, because we believe that this is the way to achieve our presence and our goals within a society that hasn't yet made equal room for us. We believe, or we've been taught, that in order to reach that ceiling of where we're supposed to be in a society, we must silence our stories. So enough about that piece, but I found it intriguing when that young person, only in grade 8, said growing is living and living is growing. What happens, therefore, if your growth is stunted because society has issues with racism and equality? Well, then you have a society where, of course, the obvious is certain factions of the society are growing and advancing, and the word I'm looking for is excelling, right? And then other factions aren't. And if you understand Canada and many countries that we call first world or developed countries, whatever these colonial terms are, you will see that oftentimes those countries got to that position through some form of colonial pursuit. And it's unfortunate, but it's the truth. And so breaking down colonialism can start with sharing your story. Simple as that. The truth of your story. Not fearing it, not being ashamed of it, letting people know this is who I am. This is part of who I am. Because, you might not share your whole story in one piece, but this is part of who I am, and I'm not ashamed of it anymore. So let's get into another poem. I have a few more poems that I'd like to share with you. And yes, rap is poetry. And I've overcome the feeling. I've passed the feeling of feeling like dejected or feeling like my worth as a writer and a performer is not as celebrated if I'm not considered a poet and I'm only considered a rapper. Because you wouldn't believe how many times when someone says, "Hey, I've heard of you. You're a poet," or "Are you a poet?" and I say yes, the first thing they'll say is, "Oh, so do you do slam poetry? Do you rap?" And I've gotten to understand that there's a hint of ignorance in that response from those people, but there could also be a hint of what we call a microaggression, because my peers who aren't the same shade of melanin as me, let's say my white friends and peers, many peers and writers who are poets, I'm in the same circles as them, as page poets, as storytellers, and they're not asked, are they rappers or slam poets when they say they're a poet. They're asked if they're poets, if they can engage with the ancient and sacred practice of page poetry. I've never been asked if I'm a page poet. I'm always asked if I'm a rapper or a slam poet, as if my blackness already links me or automatically links me to only rap music and urban practice, the urban art form of slam poetry. I've gotten over it, but I want to let y'all know rap is poetry. Why? Because rap stands for rhythm and poetry. The rhythm of the music and the poetry of the lyrics. Poetry and rap are very synonymous. And all of the things that you can find in a poem, you can find in various styles of lyricism that are derived from rap music. In fact, a little backstory for you. Rap and hip-hop, the culture of hip-hop, y'all know who started the culture of hip-hop? It was poets The last poets were the first poets from Harlem, group of poets who were speaking their truth on the streets in front of the public and with traditional African instruments, and they were telling stories poetically. It sounded a lot different than the rap music we hear now, but it was much like the poetry that you would read off paper or anywhere else around the world. Of course, they were speaking in English. And so it's their vernacular and their delivery that ended up changing the way how poetry was appreciated in a modern context. And eventually, spoken word was formed, and eventually, hip hop was formed. So, whenever someone asks you, what is the foundation? What started hip hop? Many of us may think it's the DJ Kool Herc in the park, spinning records, then the dancers, and then the graffiti artists, but it was actually the poets. So let's get into another poem. I have a poem that I called Gratitude. And this poem, I generally present it on Black Legacy Month during some performances that I might get requested to attend and to present at. But I haven't this year. I gave it a break, but I'd like to resurrect it because the poem, it hits a nerve. And that nerve, I hope that it hits, is white privilege. I hope this poem hits the nerve of white privilege, because white privilege is a blind spot that has caused great damage. And now the idea of white privilege is a common conversation. Some people dislike talking about white privilege. They think it's, and I'm not talking about just white people of the white skin complexion, the lighter complexion. I'm talking about there are people around that don't want to talk about their privilege as a cultural a representation of their race or identity. However, the data is out there, and white privilege, being white, is not the problem, obviously, right? It's the blind privilege that one will carry, that when you don't recognize the privilege, when you haven't acknowledged that you, as a person who considers themselves white, has privileges way beyond your peers of melanated or black skin color, and you don't realize that, it becomes harmful then, because it continues to keep alive institutional racism. And yes, the land that we are on, the institutions that we gather in, they have strong connections to institutional racism and white privilege. I can get into the pedagogy of all that, but I'd rather start this next poem. Here we go. It's called Gratitude. This poem is not sewn with needle and yarn. It is weaved between the scars of a ghetto child's backyard. I wish I could tell you that this poem was knitted on the porch of a log cabin overlooking acres of sacred free man's land, handed down through generations of privilege and traded like the good deeds of fair treaties. But this poem was stitched on the backs of broken natives, beaten into the psyche of modern-day black men with eyes that are still wet from drowning in debt, and their mothers, daughters, sisters, and wives are all wondering, where did all the good black men go? This poem does not offer service or salvation. It only offers the pain of colonization, a reminder that emancipation only comes to those who can afford to sacrifice their soul, who march to the tune of what they are told, who hold on to a faith that is not theirs. I have long looked into the space where joy, creation, and love exist, and I have come to find that if we don't defeat ignorance and arrogance, there is no such place for people like me. Only a heaven can provide such bliss on the days I believe in an afterlife, that is. There is only the fallacy that paradise can be purchased by turning another person's life into misery, making sure that to maintain the status of white supremacy, or let me correct that, hegemony, the rest of humanity must suffer endlessly. I will never be included in the 1%. Nor do I fall in the greater 99 because my spirit knows my greatness, but the elite won't let me fly. They can't let me fly, and they still subject me to the state of an animal because to the state I am lesser than an animal, a flightless creature, an optimist that believes that I can achieve my dreams as long as I fight for my peace and die trying to find the keys to my freedom in the meantime. I will listen to the songs sung by the dead. Remember the words of my father ringing through my head, and allow for now that white woman sitting in the cafe, knitting her lovely sweater as if she knows better, watching the white songstress on stage sing stories of cabins that belonged to her foreparents for generations in the Algonquin forests. I will allow them to go undisturbed. But when I start running, and finally shed myself of my fear to be Pharaoh, no longer peasant, I will have my kingdom, and the sorrow of pitiful servitude will only be for those whose arrogance destined them to a life of bitterness, and who, for the life of them, could never sow gratitude. So, in this poem, I'm equating a blind spot of privilege that you allow to be part of your identity. It hinders your gratitude for humanity. It hinders the open and broader view that the global family tree is necessary for us to truly succeed as a species. And so I'm trying to highlight not whiteness, because that is not the issue. I'm trying and hoping to highlight that it is white privilege that will prevent us from reaching a deep level of gratitude that will help this world serve in its best forms all of humanity. And so I use direct language. I tend not to, because as a poet, when I have people sitting in an audience paying attention to me, my art, my words, I don't want to make people only leave and think to themselves, their own biases start to come up in their head and they're like, well, I didn't come here to be attacked because of this color of my skin that I couldn't choose. Hello, welcome to our world, my world. And so I'll finish off before my time is up with one more poem. It is a poem that I also recently wrote. It's got two parts. The first part is directed towards Black boys, and the second part is directed towards Black kids. It is something that when I was done, I was pleased with, because again, I felt like this poem spoke some truth that I don't like speaking about. It was painful to write about it. And what this poem is about, I don't have a title for it. It's untitled. Actually, I think I'm titling it Coyote or Coyotes. It's about the idea that Black boys are seen as threats from such a young age, or a threat. I felt it. I felt it when I bumped into my teacher in the hallway by accident. I was in grade 7, I think, grade 7. I bumped into my woodworking teacher. I'm a kid. I was talking to my friend. The woodworking teacher bumps into me, and I said, "Oh, sorry, teacher." I knew his name. I said, "Sorry, Mr. Khalil." He said to me, keep your cotton picking hands off me." That's what he said. A teacher. It's interesting because when I was 11 or 12 in grade 7, I had no idea what he meant. I went home and I told my father, and my father worked for the Black Panther Party, so he was quite aware and conscious of microaggressions towards Black students and Black people. He told me the whole story of what that meant, and he made me go back to that teacher the next day and give the teacher my opinion on what he had said the day before. We are considered threats, Black boys. We walk into a store, we go to the principal's office. We unfortunately might get into a conflict, a physical conflict. We're the biggest threat. And you see it when police show up and so on and so forth. And I was sick of it. I was sick of thinking that people look at me as a threat when really one of my biggest goals is to try to be a very gentle and compassionate human being. I've tried to carry this in my life as much as possible. So the fact that in my life I was seen as an unwanted, undesirable threat to someone's existence and peace, this poem came out of that. To those black boys who lost their lives long ago, to their merciless fathers' beatings, to prison systems keeping their older siblings behind bars, to their mothers, a poltergeist to their own wounds, who never knew nothing but love, though birthing numerous kiddos, to these black boys, whose brains grew bigger than the streets that tried to eat them, and their dinner, and snack pack puddings, because for whatever reason, that stuff just never ran out. We were seen as coyotes. To these black boys, carry your courage like a skinned animal that asked you to sacrifice it for your sake. Broaden your chest and smile, black boy. Be heard and, more importantly, felt. Bless every space of this cosmic universe that you take up until the brilliance that is your existence is no longer feared, but idolized. You know, I don't believe in idolizing anybody. But if we're going to live in a time when people are put on pedestals, I often ask myself, when will the black experience be heralded as one of greatness and one that should be paid attention to? And of course, if you pay attention to the black experience, when will black bodies receive the same glory? Because from a young age, we're seen as coyotes. You know, coyotes in the news, right? What happens with coyotes in the news? When you see a coyote, next thing you know, it's in the Ottawa Citizen, it's on every newspaper. It's a coyote. They don't even bother you. You can walk past the coyote. They're not even dangerous at all. But somehow the story became that when you see a coyote, be very careful. They're dangerous. They will harm you. And so the connection here, or the metaphor here, is that black boys are seen and treated like coyotes. We're a spectacle of danger and a threat, and we should be avoided and evaded at all costs. The last poem I'll share with you is Black Kids, and this one is for general black youth and kids who grew up fearing their greatness. Black kids learn to swim in shallow waters, running away from their fear of heights, hiding from the unknown force of their supernatural inner greatness. The awakening of the ancestral power illuminating their skin is the DNA fabric of humanity itself, the origin, the formal vicegerent on this earth. Black kids are young queens and kings and everything beautiful in between, wading silently in shallow water for when their soul shall be heard and felt. And that is it. Those are some poems that mean a lot to me because of the sensitivity of the context. But in this poem, I wrote it because I took my kids swimming years ago. I only wrote this poem this year, but I remember when I took my kids swimming. I think it's at Carleton University. Doesn't Carleton University have those platforms? You can go higher. Yeah, and I brought my kids there, and I noticed that all of the people of color, the kids of color, the black kids, none of them were going on the high platforms. It was only white kids going up to the high platforms. And of course it could be because they had swimming lessons, stronger swimmers. I immediately looked over to my kids and I said, you better go up to that top platform. You better show people that you're not afraid of being great too. And so my kids went up. I don't know if it was a wrong or right decision. They could swim, so don't worry, I didn't make them go up and they couldn't swim. But they were afraid. And this is a narrative that Black families have to tell their children. They're either telling them, don't be afraid, or they're telling them, you have to be more powerful than everyone around you. Sorry, they're either telling them, be afraid, or they're telling them, you have to be more powerful than anyone around you because you'll get eaten up by a system that doesn't love you or appreciate you. And so I told my kids to go and demonstrate their greatness amongst the rest of their peers, because for too long we've been keeping silent. My name is Jamal Jackson Rogers, and thank you for having me. And, I know I come up to the time that I was allotted, so we can keep it moving. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me or you can send them over to the organizers of this event. Thank you, Mr. Mastersmith, for having me, and much love to the students. Forgive my slip of a cuss word. I forgot there's some high school students in here, but I think ASS is okay to slide because y'all are saying that and more. So thank you and much love. Peace.
Thank you so much, Jamal. That was really brilliant. I think we couldn't have started the show any better than that. Thank you so much. So I will go ahead and transition over to the student presentations now. I'm going to pass it over to the narrator for Game Day Thief.
Thank you, Jamal, for your wonderful presentation. Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce our lovely group's presentation. Our play is called Game Day Thief and focuses on a group of high school girls who embark on a pursuit searching for a missing phone. My name is Claudia. I'm a third-year sociology and psychology major, and I'll be guiding you tonight as a narrator, as well as Coach Jeff, a high school basketball coach.
Hi, my name is Lucia. I'm a third-year psychology student here at Carleton, and I will be playing Joanne, a basketball student.
Hello, my name is Gift. I am also a third-year criminology and criminal justice student with a focus in sociology, and I'll be playing Mary, a basketball student.
Hi, my name is Ryan Ekong. I'm a grade 11 student from St. Peter's High School, and I'll be playing Adriel, a basketball student.
Hello, my name is Danielle Green. I am a third-year student of Carleton, major in sociology, minor in law, and I will be playing Vanessa.
Hi, my name is Maggie, and I'm in my fourth year of history here at Carleton, and I will be playing Officer Karen.
Thank you all for introducing yourselves, and we'll begin shortly. End of term is always wild at Ottawa High School. It is the day of the senior prep rally, basketball season is coming to an end, teams are playing their final games, and on top of that, it's senior prank season. The senior girls have finished their last game against the Barhaven Bulls, and team captain Joanne notices something is off. Her phone has gone missing. She's not sure what to do. But the boys' basketball team were the last one to use the locker room, where she had it in. The school is also in a well-developed, wealthy neighborhood, and the students' population is predominantly white, with Adriel and Mary being some of the few Black students. And also the first to be blamed for stealing the phone. When the real culprit is discovered, things escalate. It is the end of the girls' basketball game, and the boys are in the first half of the game at Ottawa High School. Hanging outside of the gym is 17-year-old Joanne. She's a white student at Ottawa High School. She's in her final years of studies and busy applying to Ivy League schools in the US this month. Standing next to her is her childhood best friend, Mary, who's also getting ready for university. Adriel just transferred to Ottawa High School about a year ago. Joan was having a pretty rough day so far, and her game didn't go as well as she would like. Being in such a bad mood, she forgets to pick her phone on the way out of the locker room.
Ugh. The first half of the game was fine, but no one passes the ball enough. We could have played so much better today.
I know, that was rough. Are you staying to watch the end of the boys' game?
You know I can't. I still need to finish all of my West Coast college applications. Come with me to grab my stuff before the guys need to take over the locker room again.
The girls make their ways to lockers in order to get ready to go. Suddenly, Joanne realizes something's off.
Oh no, I can't find my phone anywhere. Mary, do you have it? I can't find it anywhere. It's already been such a bad day and I literally can't live without my phone.
The girls frantically look around, but can't find anything. Joanne becomes agitated. Mary goes to check the locker room benches.
I haven't seen it, Joanne. It's not on the gym benches either.
Are you sure? Mary, please check your locker properly because the last time I took it out, it was right beside you.
I just checked, and you've also been around Vanessa. Why did you go ask her to check properly too? I don't even remember you taking it out.
Calm down. Why do you sound like that?
Like what?
Like you're offended. Why do you always have to be so quick to get angry? I'm just saying, I know Vanessa would never take my phone.
What's that supposed to mean? So you think that I would take it, but not Vanessa? Is it because I'm Black and she's white?
Of course not.
You do realize not all Black people are ghetto or thieves, right?
Last week, didn't you hide Emil's sneakers before the game?
It was a prank. Plus, you were there too. I gave it back right after.
But you took them.
Yes, but it was your idea in the first place.
Oh my gosh, whatever. I hate prank season. Let's just think. The guys were the last people in here. It must have been one of them. I just don't know which one of them would do it. There is that new Black kid, Adriel. Maybe it was him.
The new Black kid? Why don't you just ask all the guys in general? It could be any one of them in their pranks.
I'm not going to ask. I'm just taking it back. It must have been Adriel. His type's always up to no good. He probably steals things all the time.
Okay, relax. You really don't need to say it like that. Let's just walk back and see if any of the guys saw your phone in the locker room. I just heard the buzzer sound. The game is done. We can just go talk to them.
The two girls take their search to the gym. A few boys are sitting on the bench. Joanne spots Adriel and stomps over.
Hey, you, Adriel, I'm not stupid. I know what you did. You're an absolute criminal. Give it back.
I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. And have you ever heard of hello? Give her back.
Okay, let's skip the bowl. I know you took my phone. It was in the locker right before my game, and now it's gone right after you guys started using it. It's no coincidence.
Okay, we aren't sure that you took it. We just want to know if there's some kind of prank you guys are pulling.
No, I don't have it. Like, did you even have proof I took it? Like, why don't you just ask people around you?
Proof? I don't need proof. Just look at you. You're a guy, and all you care about is sports and impressing girls. And trust me, this isn't impressive. Is this your way of trying to catch my attention?
Please don't flatter yourself. This is some elaborate date move. I just came here to play my last game, and you are here interrupting me with your drama.
First of all, you barely played. We wouldn't be having this problem if they stopped letting people like you into our school.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. What did you just say? No, that's too far, Joanne.
People like me? Now what's that supposed to mean? Like, and why are you blaming me?
Hey, don't take it personally. She says that about me all the time.
Of course, only Black kids. How predictable of you, Joanne.
You know what, Mary? Are you sure you didn't take my phone? Because the last time my lip gloss went missing, I found it in your locker and you said you didn't take it.
Are you serious? You're accusing me again? First of all, I never took your lip gloss. Our lockers are right beside each other, and you were too busy with your useless boyfriend that you put it in my locker. Second, what reason would I want your phone? I have my own, and I even helped you look. If I took it, why would I help you look? I literally tell you everything, even the pranks that I want to do.
Maybe because you're jealous of me. And like I said before, it's your people that are criminals. It's in your blood.
Hey, you can't talk to her like that. I thought you were best friends. Like, how could you say stuff like that to her? And Mary, you shouldn't take such crap from her because you guys have been friends for a long time.
I wasn't talking to you. And besides, Mary knows that I'm joking. Listen, I just want my phone. Give it back now or I'm going to get the coach, or better yet, an officer.
And like I told your princess pampered self, I don't have your stupid phone.
The students keep loudly arguing in the gym until Officer Karen appears and tries to cool down the situation. Officer Karen was known for being rude, impatient, and a hint of intolerant.
What seems to be the problem here? This young man seems to be causing a lot of catfighting between the ladies. Is there a problem, Joanne? Are Mary and Adriel bothering you?
It's not me, it's her. She keeps accusing me of taking her phone, but I swear I don't have it.
The cop ignores Adriel and turns towards Joanne, where she becomes much more attentive.
Young lady, what did this boy do? Another prank?
This criminal took my phone during the game because he's pulling some lame prank and now he won't give him back. He's been acting suspicious this whole time and is pretending he has no idea. I want my phone now.
I told her hundreds of times I don't have it. Check my backpack, check the security cameras.
Theft of personal property is extremely serious, young man.
I think he could use a punishment of some kind.
Yeah, typical immature boy behavior.
Excuse me, Mary, I don't need any unnecessary comments from you. You're old enough to be mature in these situations. Don't worry, Miss Joanne, I will make sure that this boy is dealt with.
What?
What do you mean? I didn't do anything.
All of you come with me. We're going to Coach Jeff's office to settle this. I don't want to deal with this.
Excuse me, I'm the victim here. Why do I have to go see the coach?
Officer Karen, Coach Jeff, Joanne, Mary, and Angel sit in the coach's office.
Well, Coach, it looks like my job here is done, and I'm keeping an eye on you, Adriel. I know your type. And Mary, don't think I forgot about you. I hope not to have to deal with you two again.
Oh, well, Officer Karen gave me a brief overview of what's going on. So Adriel allegedly stole your phone, Joanne. And Adriel, it's not funny. And you saw this happening, Joanne?
How can you defend him? He looks like the sketchy type. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm not the only one that got their phone stolen. Just get me my phone back and suspend him now, please.
Okay, Joanne, I don't take orders from you. And when you're talking to me, please show a little bit of respect. I'm here to help you resolve the issue, but I cannot do that if we're going to be quick to point fingers with no proof whatsoever. Let me speak to Adriel in private, please. Coach Jeff pulls Adriel aside to speak privately. Immediately after, Adriel starts to plead.
Coach, you have to believe me. Why would I want to bother these girls? I know all they do is cause drama.
I have no proof that you did do it. I have no proof that you did not do it. However, I cannot just ignore that her phone has gone missing. And it's such an unfortunate coincidence that Joanne believes it's you. I'm gonna have to suspend you for 3 days.
Coach Jeff, come on, man. 3 days? You're so wrong for doing this. I can't. You can punish me all you want. I still won't give it back because I do not have the phone.
Adriel, that's enough right now. Please head out.
Wow, thanks. I hope you're happy. I'm losing a chance to possibly finish the year on a clean slate, but because you can't think before you speak, I'm suspended.
Enough. Out. Now. Adriel was the closest to Coach Jeff, and is still surprised by his reaction. However, he knew Coach Jeff had to do this. He had to do his job, and him being one of the few Black boys around the school could not make it easier, especially when someone like Joanne is playing the victim. Adriel leaves quickly to grab his stuff and go. Coach Jeff, Joanne, and Mary stand outside of the gym discussing the situation a bit more. I'm sorry about that, lady. Sometimes these things happen. You know, boys will be boys and act out all the time. I'm sure he'll return your phone soon.
He got so defensive and angry way too quick. It has to be him. It's obvious. I want it now, but I'm sure Coach is right. I can wait a bit more, but I wouldn't want to get the police involved.
The rest of the girls' basketball team suddenly appears at the other end of the main hall, laughing loudly. Spotting Vanessa, Mary leaves Joanne to finish her discussion with the coach and walks over to the group of girls.
That was hilarious. Joanna will never see that coming.
Wait, what happened? I was stuck in the gym the whole time.
We took Joanne's phone during our game and wrote the funniest tweets from her phone. I can't wait to see the look on her face.
OMG, that was you? I can't believe it. Give it back like right now before anyone sees what you posted. Why would you want to do that?
Oh, stop it. You're always so aggressive, Mary. It's supposed to be funny to people with good humor.
Vanessa, stop being a loser and give me the phone right now. Seriously, she's super pissed and Adriel just got suspended.
Vanessa sticks her tongue out and tries running away. While Mary is reaching for the phone, Mary rushes to Joanne to tell her the news.
Joanne, wait up. I overheard Vanessa talking about how she stole your phone as a prank to post some tweets. I thought she was your friend.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I went that long without it. I wonder if she wrote anything funny. Thanks for the help, Mary.
Wait, what? You're not even mad anymore? You also basically almost called the cops on Adriel.
Oh, come on, don't be dramatic. I already forgot all about that. Let's go get my phone.
Joanne quickly rushes to talk to Vanessa.
I should have known it was you, Vanessa. I didn't even see you take my phone. That was genius.
See, what I tell you, it wasn't me.
Oh, relax. I was only joking, Mary. Of course it wasn't you.
Coach Jeff, who was talking to the other players at the end of the game, urges the students to leave the gym, making his way around until he reaches the group of girls.
Hey, coach, I found my phone. Turns out Vanessa was just taking care of it for me, so everything's fine.
Just taking care of it? You've got to be kidding me.
Settle down, Mary. I don't need any more girl drama. Okay, calm down, ladies. I mean, it's no longer Adriel or Mary, but now Vanessa? Vanessa, pranks like these are not accepted. Don't make me give you a warning. Joanne, since you've gotten your phone back, I would like this little group to disperse. All of you head out to the post-game meetup or head home, or I'll have to give you all demerit points.
Wait, that's it? Like, does that mean no more suspension? I told you it wasn't me.
Yes, Adriel, I'm sorry about that. Your suspension is lifted. I really need you to behave from now on.
Fine, I guess, but who took the phone?
I did.
Haha, I won't mind you being suspended for a few days. You're so annoying.
Nope. I didn't even get a warning. Joanne thought it was funny.
What? That is so unfair. Adriel almost got suspended and was kind of threatened by Joanne when we all thought he was a culprit. And he almost called the police on him, which would have given her a criminal record. But Vanessa didn't get a warning, but she's the one who stole the phone and used it too. How do you even explain that?
Enough, Mary. I know girls like you think it's okay to talk back to authority, but I will have to suspend if this keeps going on.
I just don't get it. When they talk to Vanessa, to Joanne, it's always young lady, princess, and I'm the one that's being called the loud and a whole woman.
What? Where is all this coming from? So it's only the black students who get in trouble.
You know what? All of you to my office again, because you're just causing a disruption. I understand some boys doing this, but you girls, I'm disappointed. All right, at this time, let's settle this thing. We already had to meet once today. I don't want to make it third. Here's what's gonna happen. You four are gonna talk and figure it out, make a resolution. I'm leaving it to you because all these pranks are just getting exhausting. Bye.
I cannot believe I'm missing the after party for this. I didn't do anything. It's you girls causing drama every single day, and look how it affects me.
First of all, you always call us dramatic just because we're girls, when really you can be just as nosy. I don't even know why I'm here.
It was a harmless prank. You and Mary just can't take a joke and always overreact.
Ugh, I know, right?
First of all, I don't even talk to you, Joanne. Why would I take it? See, it's fine when Vanessa does it, she gets away. Me, on the other hand, is not the same. See, that's why I don't even participate in all these pranks, because I already know the reaction it will get. No teacher is going to see me and say, aha, good one, Adriel. That's not just how it works.
And I don't even know how I got wrapped into all this. I was just trying to help. You're always blaming and bothering other people, Joanne, and no matter what you do, the teachers never bother you.
Hey, don't get mad at me. I didn't try to suspend you. That wasn't my idea. I can't control what Officer Karen and Coach Jeff did. I just brought up my problem and they tried to help.
But you didn't try to stop it either.
Yeah, you can be really insensitive sometimes, Joanne. Why did you assume it was me in the first place?
I don't know. I just assumed you didn't have a phone or something.
It's 2022. Everyone has a phone. So why would I need to steal one? You know exactly that's it, Joanne. You can be so quick to judge. If everyone in this world was like you, the world would be so close-minded. Not all of us have your luck and privileges. Like, don't even get me started on you, Vanessa.
Hey, I don't even know why Joanne blamed you in the first place.
Okay, I'm just saying you could have at least thought a little more before causing all this mess. I could have been suspended for a long time, and it would have been a dent on my record for university application.
University? I don't think any Ivy would accept you, so why bother?
No one is speaking to you, Vanessa.
Oh, don't even let me get started on you, Mary Had a Little Lamb. You should, or should I say, Baba Black Sheep?
Oh, be quiet, Vanessa. Everyone knows you're failing English.
Hey, so has a resolution been made?
Yeah, we haven't really gotten anywhere. And honestly, I'm feeling much worse about things as time goes on.
I don't think this is worth discussing. Look, it's late. Tomorrow's a new day. I want you all back on your best behavior.
What? You're not even gonna suspend Vanessa. Shouldn't one hold them accountable? Like, see, I know I'm new, but like in my last school, because of being ignored, I left and discriminated against, and it's happening here too.
Okay, I agree with him. At least give her detention. I remember last year, I was the only one that was suspended during prank season.
How can you say it's fair? If I was the culprit, I would have been suspended and had the cops called on me. But Vanessa is a white girl, so you guys treat her so much better, no matter what she does.
Mary, let's just go. I got my phone back. That's all we needed.
Come on, Joanne. You gotta admit something's up. Look what happened to Adriel compared to Vanessa. This isn't fair. I know I'm supposed to be your friend, but I can't accept this.
It's not fair. Why is it that there's a different punishment compared to when you thought I was the culprit? Of course, I'm going to say something wrong. This isn't the first time this has happened. I don't know if it's me because I'm a guy or whatever. Are we really going to not address this?
Well, you see, back in my day, something like talking back would have never happened. The girls will have been held accountable. So it looks resolved. All of you out of the gym. I don't want another mention of this phone thing situation thing tomorrow.
That's it?
Correct. That's it.
What about fairness and honor, coach? You sure talk about it and never have to listen.
You know what? Everyone out. I need to have a word with Angel in private. To pull off this situation, as the door closes, Coach walks toward Adrian. This world is an evil, evil place, man. A man like you needs to work twice as hard to be appreciated. And if I could tell you one thing, walk on eggshells, especially as a man like yourself. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say.
Nah, so basically, because I'm black man, I should be careful so I don't get blamed for stealing.
I'm serious, Adriel. Today, you saw it. I knew this would escalate if I didn't come down with an iron fist. Walk your own path. Do what is right. With all that being said, are we good here?
Yeah, we're good, I guess.
Okay, see you for final practice in the morning.
See you at practice.
Adriel walks out with the gym doors closing behind him.
Man, this would have never happened if I was white. You need to walk on eggshells, especially as a man like yourself. Seriously, why should I have to I shouldn't be the one being careful because I'm a man. Damn, this would have never happened if I was just a white girl.
Black girls and boys suffer from systematic abuse in the educational system. Mary and Adriel were the first to be blamed for stolen phone, without considering their relationship with Joanne, where they were when the phone went missing, or the possibility of other culprits. Because she is a girl, Mary is treated frivolous and meek. Because she's a Black girl, she is treated as if she is loud, disruptive from her other female peers. Officer Can, for example, is never as kind to her as she is towards Joanne. Adriel is quickly blamed as well. He is treated like a criminal due to him being a Black boy, and treated more aggressively than any other student due to his race and gender. Coach Jeff tried to deal with the problem, but by doing this, he ignored the larger issue at hand. By not punishing Vanessa, Coach Jeff is reinforcing the stereotype that Black people are always the ones taking the blame, and ignores the larger systematic issue of Black kids being racialized and criminalized. In Toronto, between 2011 and 2012, and from 2015 to 16, almost half of the students expelled from the Toronto District School Board were Black, and only 10% of those expelled were white. Similarly, in 2006 and 2007, Black students are 3 times as much more likely to be suspended than white students. Thank you.
Thank you all for watching our play. We are now opening the floor to any questions or comments you may have. We also have a few questions for you as well. So if you do have anything you would like to say, please feel free to put it in our Q&A or raise your hand and we will unmute you. We have a question from Adora.
It's more like a compliment. It's actually Mava, but I really like this story because it's such a relatable story that happens like in everyday life. And the fact that you guys, like the script was so genuine, it was so natural. It seemed so realistic because it's like, I connected so quickly. And I'm sure a lot of people here connected to the fact that it is such a big issue in our schools. And people think it's like a basic issue, right? But it's not. Like, it's so deep, and like you go home sometimes and you're like, oh my gosh, like this is the reality I have to face every single day. And even though I leave high school, I'm gonna have to face reality like way worse than what I just faced in high school. So I think this was like really, really good play. Like, I really liked it.
Thank you so much. It's definitely the idea of how life imitates art. Oh, sorry, how art imitates life, and the things we see in movies and stories and on TV shows reflects the way we see how people go to school, go to work, just daily life activities. You see that in your TV shows and your books and your movies. So I really thank you so much. We are very happy that we're able to have this be relatable in a sense where you see this happen in schools and we're able to put that into a play. So thank you so much. Oh, we're seeing a lot of compliments and thank you. We have a comment from FA. How long did it take to make this play? Also, good job. Just short note, FA is my sister, so hi sis. This play, we started making this, I'm gonna get this wrong, but I want to say February 7th. I could be wrong, but if anyone wants to correct me, let me know. I want to say February 7th. We've been working on it since then, working it as a group. Rewrite after rewrite and getting the characters right and the storyline right. It did take a long time, but I feel like we were able to do this together, and the group, we all put in our little bits and pieces together, and it came out really amazing. So I'm very proud of everyone. We have a comment from Patricia Little. I don't know if I can unmute. Yeah, we have a comment from Patricia Little. I'm just waiting for her to be unmuted.
Great job.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Did you type great job? Who did?
Can they still hear us?
No. Yes, we can hear you. All right, we got a question. Did you base your characters on real people or your own experiences? Thank you, Sarah. We kind of a bit of both. We made up the characters as just because we're not in high school anymore, except for Ryan, who is still in high school. So we definitely made up the characters, but the story is definitely based off like personal experiences of being discriminated against, whether in school or at work, and just taking bits and pieces of that and putting it into the play. If anyone else would like to comment or contribute to that answer, feel free to unmute yourself.
I'll contribute. I guess we had a tough time in the beginning choosing our scenario, and it was brought to attention, situations that have been constantly happening in in schools with, you know, an area where students should feel protected, where they're mostly, you know, left to fight for themselves. And the phone stealing is actually something that happens very often. And a lot of the times, I'm not speaking for everybody, but some people are quick to be blamed when sometimes there should be a thorough investigation. So through these stories, our personal experiences, we're able to build onto the story and create the presentation that we did today. So.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Lucia, I saw you muted for a moment if you want to say anything.
No, yeah, just following up on what she had said. And also, I think in the beginning, we had written a different ending where it was a happy ending, and the Joanne had been held accountable, and Vanessa as well. And then we realized it didn't reflect real life. And so that's something we changed.
Yeah, I think you also answered a question in the chat where it says, I wonder if you all imagine a better response to the phone stealing / prank. How could have folks responded, especially after finding out Angel did not do it? Yeah, we definitely, like Lucia said, we definitely wanted to reflect a more realistic ending where it's not every time where you have like, you know, that happy ending where the person that actually committed the crime is punished or, you know, receives their like just due. And it's a lot of cases like this where the person that actually did it gets a slap on the wrist and the person that didn't was accused of not doing so. In this case, Adriel and Mary, they are hit on a bit more and it's a bit more intense for them. When for Vanessa, it was more of a like, it's fine, move on with your life. Are there any other questions or comments? I believe our time is up, but once again, thank you all for watching us. We hope that you enjoyed it, and we're going to throw it back to Professor George.
Thank you so much. That was brilliant. I'm going to pass it off now to the narrator for Leaving Home.
Hi, everyone, and thank you to our play. Tonight, it's called Leaving Home. This is a story of two families. Adora's family owns a successful restaurant business, and they are excited to expand their franchise into the new shopping center and condos that are being built nearby. However, in order to build them, many homes are being demolished. Adora's best friend Lola's family lives in one of the homes that's being torn down. How will these two friends navigate the new changes in their and their family's lives?
My name is Sophia. I'm a fourth-year journalism and human rights student, and I'll be playing the narrator.
My name is Ma'ava. I'm a grade 11 student at St. Peter's Catholic High School, and I will be playing Adora.
My name is Joy, and I'm a grade 12 student at St. Peter's High School, and I'll be playing Lola.
My name is Rana. I'm a third-year criminology student, and I will be playing Shauna, a friend of Lola and Adora, and Carmela, Lola's friend.
Hi, my name is Gloria. I'm in my third year of Human Rights and Social Justice, and I'll be playing Fumi, Adora's mother.
Hi, my name is Olivia. I'm in my third year of Sociology with a minor in film, and I'll be playing Barbara the landlord.
And I'm Lydia. I'm a third year Sociology student, and I will be playing Constable Walter and Zandra the landlord.
Leaving Home. Lola was born and raised into a Nigerian family and grew up in the Eastgate social housing projects in Ottawa. She and her siblings grew up there with their single mom, Carmela. Carmela has a degree in mechanical engineering from the University of Lagos, but she was unable to complete her Canadian equivalent because she got pregnant with Lola's older sister and had to drop out. The community at Eastgate is one big family, but when the new developer, Lumber Creek, took this property over, everything went downhill. Lumber Creek didn't fulfill the work orders and neglected its tenants for months. Now, the property landlord, Barbara, has given out eviction notices. Lumber Creek is going to be demolishing half of Eastgate to redevelop the neighborhood and build a strip mall and new condos. Adora's family started their lives here in Canada when Adora was 2 years old, coming to Eastgate from Nigeria. They rented a small, dilapidated space that they fixed up as best as they could to serve their community some homemade Nigerian food. And even though the restaurant space itself was a little run down, The delicious food that they made and served had people from all over the city lining up to eat. Eastgate is a huge development project, so when Lumber Creek bought it and decided to demolish half of the housing to make room for a mall and condos, Adora's family was incredibly excited. They could not only expand their business into a beautiful new restaurant space, but also purchase a brand new apartment. It feels like they were finally reaping the benefits of their hard work. Scene 1. It's the middle of the summer and Shauna, a friend of Lola's and Adora's, is hosting a neighborhood potluck. Everyone is enjoying themselves and the neighbors are eating, laughing, and playing music.
Oh Lord, the rice, the jollof is burning. Lola and Adora, come here right now. We have an issue and I don't want to ruin the night for anyone.
Sorry, my Wi-Fi. So, oh my good, please can we start it again?
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Oh Lord, the rice, the jollof is burning. Lola and Adora, come here right now. We have an issue and I don't want to ruin the night for anyone.
Oh my goodness, don't worry. My aunt and mother have a secret recipe and magic hands. They will figure this out.
Adora joins them.
Hey guys, what did I miss? Oh, the rice.
No worries, girl. You didn't really miss anything other than Shan almost burnt her house down.
Sorry I was late. My family and I just got back from the house inspection, and my parents finally put down the down payment and signed the papers for the new house.
That's great. Oh, hey, what was the big secret you wanted to tell us, Adora?
Yeah, the suspense has been killing me.
Okay, are you guys ready? How would you feel about having a brand new Fumi's Cuisine opening up and being super close by?
Oh my God, that's awesome. I literally dream about your mom's agusi soup. It's so good.
Yeah, they're opening a new mall right down this road from here. And we just found out that they approved their application to open a new restaurant right there.
And it's close by, which is going to be great. We could walk over there and hang out whenever we want, right, Lola?
Yeah, except I don't know if we are going to be living close by much longer. They are building the mall right by my neighborhood and they are tearing a bunch of houses down. We got an eviction notice last month and we have to leave last week and we have to leave in a month.
What? Why didn't you tell us sooner? That's so stressful.
Yeah, I didn't want to spoil the potluck.
That sucks, Lola. I had no idea that they were tearing down houses to build the mall. But look on the bright side. Weren't you saying that your house was getting too crowded since your young sister was born? Maybe you guys can finally find a 3-bedroom space.
Adora's inner voice.
I get that Lola is stressed about having to move out, but it's not really our fault, right? We're not the ones building the mall, and my family has worked so hard to run our own business. I just wish it could be a little bit more happy for me.
Yeah, I don't know. We have been looking, but it's so expensive. I'm just really worried. And where are we going to live?
My mom says owning a house and getting a mortgage is cheaper and better.
My mom can't afford a down payment on houses anywhere. The rent are so expensive.
Look, I'm sure everything's going to be fine. I can totally help you look for a part-time job. And this is an exciting moment for you, Adora. We should go celebrate. Do you guys want to get Dairy Queen?
Ooh, I don't know. It's in a sketchy side of town. I was thinking maybe we should go to like Marble Slap. It's near where the mall will be and it's all brand new.
That sounds perfect. And we can take cute pictures. Let me go tell my mom we're leaving.
I am not really in the mood for celebrating and spending extra money right now. See you guys later.
Scene 2. It's the next day, and Barbara, the lead landlord of Lumber Creek, who owns a development where Lola and her family live, has a very busy day ahead of her. She calls an enforcement officer named Officer Walter to post eviction notices around the subdivision for tenants to move out by a given date. Carmela and Lola present their concern of being evicted and finding a new home on such short notice.
Hi, Barbara. I came in as soon as you called.
Officer Walter, thank you for coming in. I need you to distribute a second round of eviction notices to notify the tenants that they must leave their properties by June 1st.
Will do, Barbara. I'll get these notices out and let them know about the upcoming eviction dates and consequences if they don't comply.
Yes, thank you. I really hope no one gives you a hard time when you post these notices. You know how people can be in this neighborhood.
I'll be fine. Nothing I haven't dealt with before. I noticed a couple of protesters outside. What's that all about?
Oh, that is nothing to worry about. It's just some people mad that they don't have a 24/7 maintenance man available to them. Please call me if you have any trouble with the notices.
Enforcement Officer Walter leaves Barbara's office to hand out the eviction notices in the East Gate neighborhood. One of the first families she visits is Lola's family.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Officer Walter. I'm here to ensure that you are prepared to leave this property by next month.
Well, my family and I have still not found a new home for us to live in. What you and Lumber Creek are doing to our family and our neighbors is disgusting. Do you even care about all the people who might become homeless because of this?
I'm sorry, ma'am, but orders are orders. You and your family can no longer live on this property. If you don't leave by the date you were given, which is June 1st, we will have to forcefully remove your family from this house.
Listen, I have an engineering degree, but couldn't get a job with it because I don't have any experience here in Canada. Now I work 2 minimum wage jobs and I also have 3 daughters to take care of. Do you know how much stress this is causing them?
Carmela's inner voice.
Officers always assume that people like me are lazy or are poor on purpose. They don't see how hard we work, but can still barely make it by.
Well, listen, this is a large neighborhood. I'm sure you'll easily find a house to rent. I heard that the new apartments down the street are renting out to new tenants.
I'm sure they are, but who knows if we can afford it? Can't you at least talk to the landlord about extending the time my family and I have to leave?
Unfortunately, that's not possible. The landlord was very clear that all tenants living on this property need to move out by June 1st. There is nothing else I can do for you.
Lola enters the scene.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Well, I was just explaining to your mother that you can no longer live in this house by June 1st because it will be demolished, as per Lumber Creek orders.
Are you kidding me? First, they refused our maintenance call, and now this?
You can just apply for community housing if you can't find anywhere else to live.
Officer Walter's inner voice.
These people act as if I'm in control of the property being demolished. They're moving out, not being deported.
Actually, I've been on the waiting list for community housing for 5 years and I still haven't heard anything back. Every time I call for an update, they always say that there are still no houses available or they're prioritizing the people who are in shelters. So I guess that's what's expected of me. I'm to pack up our whole home and move us all into a shelter.
You make it sound so terrible. Community housing is a privilege. Do you know how many people around the world would love a chance to be able to rent affordable housing? And guess what? Taxpayers like me are the reason that you have the opportunity for affordable housing at all. You should be thanking me, not yelling at me.
All I am asking for is a little bit more time to find a house. The landlord should have been a bit more considerate before evicting the tenants living in this community. I have had to spend so much money on the repairs you refuse to do. How can I afford to move now?
Yeah, my mom has been paying the rent on time, and we haven't done anything wrong to be evicted.
Well, you know what, like you don't make it far in life and you usually drop out of high school, so don't be surprised when you're dealing with being evicted throughout your entire life.
Excuse me? Don't you dare talk to my daughter like that. She's a very intelligent girl that is passionate about school. Just because we live in this community doesn't mean we are lazy or stupid.
Carmela's inner voice.
I feel so ashamed that this constable is degrading me in front of my daughter and making false assumptions about me. She doesn't know how much I wish I could have a better job and actually use my degree that I worked so hard for in Nigeria.
Well, if you'd actually stayed in school and gotten a good job, maybe you wouldn't have been dealing with an eviction notice and struggling to find a new place to live.
Actually, my mom already have a degree from Nigeria, and she would have had one here too. But she had to drop out of school and provide for my sisters and me before she could get her Canadian qualification. And she has done everything to keep us safe and taken care of. Don't talk to her like that.
Lola's inner voice.
I feel like my mom and I are dealing with so much oppression just because we are poor. If we're business owners like Adora's family, I bet we wouldn't have dealt like this.
That's a nice story, but you both still need to be out of this house by June 1st. This property was sold. It's being demolished to build a new mall. You decided to rent here, and now you need to respect the orders of the landlord.
Hey, this is not fair.
Lola, it's fine. Please be quiet. I guess I will start having to look for new places then, right away.
All right, then. I'll be back June 1st to make sure everyone's followed the eviction orders and left the property.
Enforcement Officer Walter leaves.
How are we going to find a new place so soon?
Don't worry, honey. We'll figure something out. We have to.
Scene 3. Adora and her mom Fumi are closing up the restaurant for the night. Fumi and her father, Akin, Adora's father, own the restaurant, and Adora works there with her family after school. Adora walks into the kitchen one afternoon with her head down and her shoulders slumped.
Hey, Mom, it smells so good here. Are you making okra soup?
Yes, my love. How was your day?
Actually, not that great. I need to talk to you about something that's been bothering me.
Of course, honey. What's going on?
You know that they're demolishing homes to build a new mall, the new mall and restaurant, right?
I do.
Well, you know my friend Lola, her home is one of the places being torn down. And I'm sure there are more families that we know whose houses are being taken away from them to make spaces for our restaurant. Doesn't that make you feel bad? Because it makes me feel so bad.
Listen, love. I know that's upsetting. I understand you feel badly for your friend, but this is our dream. This is why your father and I fought so hard to get us into this country, to have this opportunity to make a life for us, a life for you.
But Mom, how can you feel proud of a restaurant that is taking places of people's homes? Where will they go?
I really don't know, but think of all the new people it'll bring to the neighborhood, the kind that have money and will gladly spend more at our restaurant just because of the location. You will enjoy seeing the change in the neighborhood.
I hear you, Mom. For real, I do. But we have to think about what this is doing to our community members and friends. It's called gentrification. I looked it up, and it can also make a community poor.
Honey, it creates new opportunities for jobs and businesses. I'm sure we won't be the only local family who benefit from this situation. And think of all the new stores we can shop at.
But the new people prefer brand names and chain stores rather than spending money on local shops. You know, Mike's Corner Store? We have been going there forever, and it won't last when the new Circle K goes up that mall. Mom, gentrification removes the people who built the community. When these people leave, you lose the spirit of the area. And that is exactly what we love about it here, isn't it?
Not all developers are like Lumber Creek, Adora. Remember, gentrification can provide a chance for new housing opportunities. You will see new buildings go up, people will take pride into the community, and they'll keep the streets clean and safe. There won't be garbage on the streets, and people will stop causing mayhem. This is a good thing, Adora. You can't worry yourself over things you can't control.
Maybe we can control it. Isn't there something we could do for the families that have to move?
I mean, we could possibly, I'm sure, sorry.
I'm not sure. Lola said she would have to find a job to contribute at home because wherever her family has to move will definitely be more expensive.
Well, I know we'll need more help when we open the new restaurant. We could offer her a part-time job.
Really? That's awesome, Mom. But she don't even need a job for us. There's a protest going on. Maybe I should join it.
Don't say that, Adora. It's not your responsibility. It's unfortunate, but if you want to succeed in your life, you have to take the opportunities that come to you, especially if it means a better life for your family. That's enough talk of that's enough of this talk. Let's go back to making puff puff.
Fumi hugs Adora and they look at each other and smile before getting back to cooking. Scene 4. Lola and her mother, Carmela, are now in search of a new home. They are now rushing apartment to apartment, hoping to find an affordable place to live in. One afternoon, the two rush off the bus, running late to the real estate appointment, even though they tried to arrive early.
Come on, Lola, we're already late. Hurry up, please. We don't want to miss our appointment.
Yes, Mom, I'm coming. It is not our fault we are late. It is the stupid boss.
Hi, I'm Sandra, the landlord, and you're late.
Hi, I'm Carmela, and this is my daughter, Lola. Nice to meet you. Sorry about that. You know how it is with the bus. Yeah, we are here to check out the apartments you posted online.
Oh, all right. Which apartment were you interested in checking out? I assume it's the Bachelor. It's the cheapest.
Actually, I wanted to check out the 2-bedroom apartment.
That apartment costs $1,500 a month, and I cannot be lenient with late payments. But the Bachelor's only $750, and looks like it would suit you better.
Mom, that's really expensive.
Honey, you don't have to worry about all these things. I'm your mother, and I'll take care of it, all right?
Well, if you're going to rent a 2-bedroom apartment, I'm going to check your credit, pay stubs, bank statement, ID, social insurance number, and rental history.
Okay, just give me a second. Let me get the documents out of my purse.
Carmela passes the documents to Sandra.
Thank you. I will take a thorough look through these documents to ensure that you can afford this apartment.
Okay, but I will make sure that I pay the rent on time.
Mom, are you sure this is going to work out? I thought we were in debt.
Lola, can you let the landlord look through the documents before you start spreading our business to strangers?
I still think this is too expensive for us, Mom. I don't see how this is fair. Why did we have to lose our home just so Dora's family can build a new stupid restaurant? As if they don't have enough already.
Lola, honey, I know, okay? I know. I guess we'll just have to look harder, all right?
Fine. I still think it is not okay that we are going through this.
It's okay. I will figure this out.
After looking through the documents, landlord Sandra walks back into the room.
Well, it looks like you don't qualify to live here for a variety of reasons, but mostly your credit score. Better luck somewhere else. Bye now.
Landlord Sandra turns to leave, but Carmela tries to stop her.
Yes, but that's only because I was unable to find a job and went into debt trying to pay rent. But I currently work multiple jobs and I haven't missed any rental payments.
I have a strict policy not to rent out to tenants that have financial issues. I'm sure you'll find another place that is suitable for someone like you.
Well, what about the bachelor pad? You said that was available.
Carmela's inner voice.
I can't believe how hard this is. Why can't I just find a suitable home for me and my family?
Yes, that we could definitely afford that.
I'm afraid I cannot rent out the Bachelor to you either.
But you just said it was available for rent and it's cheaper than the 2-bedroom apartment.
Well, I checked your bank statements, pay stubs, and credit score, and clearly you will not be able to keep up with rent. I don't want people like you living here for free while others are keeping up with their rent. There's nothing more that I can do for you. Sorry. Now see yourselves out.
Scene 5. Adora and her mom, Fumi, approach the construction site, planning to measure their new restaurant space for furniture and tiles. The two approach the site laughing and talking. Lola is sitting on her front porch across the street watching them, but she ducks down behind the railing so they don't see her.
Come on, hurry up, Adora. I want to get to the site real quick so we can get home in time to help your father with the dinner rush.
Okay, well, I'm so excited to see the new restaurant. Do you think that we can try a new furniture layout this time? I really want to help decorate.
I'm so glad that you want to be a part of this. I know that you're having some problems at school with Lola, but try to be kind with her and her family. They're going to be struggling for the next little while. You know, if her mother could manage her money better, they wouldn't be in this predicament.
I guess, Mom. I guess it's not.
Adora's inner voice.
I wonder if what my mom is saying is true. Why is Lola so upset with me? She could afford to move like us, only if her mom had to find a better job. This isn't my fault.
Lola's inner voice.
I can't believe I heard Femi say this about my mom. My mom has an engineering degree from Nigeria, but couldn't use it in Canada, and then had to drop out of school because she had my older sister, and her parents couldn't support her, and Adora knows that. I can't believe she's not standing up to her mom for me and my mom. I thought she was my best friend. I really thought she could understand the discrimination and pain I go through more than anyone. Maybe she doesn't really care.
Adora and her mom walk up to their new restaurant space and see that Enforcement Officer Walter and Barbara are standing outside, holding a clipboard and discussing plans for the new mall.
Hey, whoa there. Who are you people? What are you doing here?
Yeah, this is private property. You can't just walk over here with no explanation.
Oh, of course. We're the new tenants. My husband, Akin, and I bought this restaurant space here. Nice to meet you. I'm Fumi, and this is my daughter, Adora.
Hi, nice to meet you.
What is your business here today?
We just want to take some measurements for the space today so we can plan out our restaurant's new furniture.
See, we're causing any problems here.
Well, I didn't hear about this happening, so we cannot allow you to enter the property.
Hey, do you have proof that this is even your restaurant? I bet you're coming from the houses we're tearing down, trying to damage something. I bet you're part of that stupid little protest, and I'm not going to be fooled by people like you.
Well, I certainly don't carry the lease around with me, but I assure you we did buy the restaurant here. I don't have to take these accusations from you. Are you Barbara? I spoke to you on the phone last week about the property.
Well, I don't remember talking to anyone like you. I think I would have remembered your attitude.
Mom. Why don't you just go in? Get that takes a picture of the lease or something.
Adora walks toward the restaurant entrance, and Enforcement Officer Walter stops her. Lola, who has been hiding this whole time, suddenly perks up.
Excuse me, young lady. I need you to stop and calm down now. You cannot enter this property, and I don't want you escalating the situation anymore. I'm sick of you people coming over here and getting in the way.
What are you even talking about? This is my family's restaurant. We bought it, and my mom even talked to you on the phone. So go check your stupid clipboard, and you will see my mom and dad's name on the deed.
My gosh, watch your tone, young lady. You need to calm down right now, or I am going to call security.
Don't you dare talk to my daughter like that.
That's it. I will not be threatened by you anymore. I am calling security right now.
The conflict continues and quiets down as Lola begins to speak to herself.
I don't know how to feel right now. I don't think it is fair what Lumber Creek is doing to Eastgate. I don't think it is fair that this constable is profaming Adora and Femi. But what is my responsibility here? I am angry that Femi and Adora are being profamed, but I can't help but wonder if they deserve it even a little bit. Watching them being treated like this hurts me. It hurts our community, and honestly, my heart breaks to watch this. But do their hearts break for me? Do they even care about my problems? Did they even help me? Could they even help me? I don't know what to do. Would the officer even listen to me if I did say something? What would you have done if it was you?
This play represents how gentrification occurred in the Heron Gate subdivision, which is known as Eastgate in the play. where tenants were evicted from 150 townhouses to build luxurious condos. Timber Creek, which is known as Lumber Creek in the play, made little consideration for the tenants living in this community and being able to find new places to live. In Ottawa, individuals with low incomes have limited opportunities to find sufficient affordable housing. In April 2019, an application was filed by dozens of evicted tenants against the City of Ottawa and Timber Creek. Timber Creek demolished 150 townhouses in January and February of that year. And since the application was first filed, there has been little progress in the case. The Human Rights Tribunal of Ontario has done literally nothing to support the displaced tenants. It's evident that the executive in charge of Timber Creek want to distance themselves from the chaos they've created because they have since changed their name to Hazelview. This is the largest housing rights case in Canada's history, and it came together entirely through an independent organizing through neighborhood tenants. It's actually remarkable. The tenants took bold and decisive action against a multi-billion-dollar corporation and classism as a whole. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll be passing off to Lydia and Olivia, who are going to lead our Q&A.
Thank you so much, Gloria. And thank you all for watching. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to raise your hand, put something in the chat or in the Q&A. Oh, I see we've got something from Nicola. Such fantastic performance. Congratulations, super proud of you. Oh, thank you so much, Nicola. Yeah, we had a lot of fun doing it.
Nicola.
Job. Oh, thanks, Danielle.
Lots of great compliments. Thank you.
Yeah. Wonderful. Oh my goodness, so many nice compliments. Thank you. Yeah, does anyone have any questions about the playwriting process or the characters or what the message was about, or any comments? Best play I've seen all year. Thank you very much, Sam Roberts. Well, thank you, Miriam, for thought-provoking. Thank you. I guess while you guys are thinking of questions, I'm going to ask a question to the group. What was the most thought-provoking thought you had throughout this process? Lydia, do you want to start?
Sure. Well, I actually learned about what was going on with this whole situation a couple of years ago in college, and had a class, an anti-oppressions class centered around this situation. So I was really excited to see it sort of on the list of things that could inspire our plays, and really found just creating the entire play and immersing myself in it really powerful. Obviously, I'm white, and so my intersections are only so intersected. So it was really great to share this class with so many perspectives and so many wonderful young ladies.
Gosh, I totally agree, Lydia. I just heard we're running a little short on time, so unfortunately we won't get to hear from all of you, but I'm sure Lydia summed it up really well. So we've got a question from Kaja saying, how was the script written? Was it a team approach? I will say right now it was very much a team approach, but does anyone want to elaborate on it? Maybe one of the high school students?
I saw Joy with her hand up.
Oh, go ahead, Joy.
Okay, so before I say what I wanted to say before, let me talk about the team. So I was not really in the writing in the writing process, but I was in the drama, and then in the talking, and then in the reading process, and it was really nice, and it was a wonderful experience. You know, coming like when normally back when you see a university student, you're like, oh, they're all just enjoying their life. What are they doing? They think they're high of themselves. But when I came to this meeting, I met these lovely young people, young ladies that this team, they brought their everything, they put everything into this play, and they wrote it so beautifully. And every week I remember I will come and I will read the script, and then I'm the one, I didn't even write anything, but I'm the one adding more dialogue into this play. And then I'm the one saying, this one is not good, this one is not good. But they even at that, they're not like, Joy, did you write anything? They didn't say that, but they accepted all my everything I had to say. They respected my view, and I really appreciated it, coming every Monday and reading the play and talking with these lovely young ladies. And I've learned some things from them. I can't explain everything, but I'm going to tell you that I learned something beautiful from these young ladies. And I would encourage, I know I'm in grade 12, I don't know. Why didn't I join this play last year? The year is almost over and I can't join it again next year. But do send me invite. I will definitely come to watch it. So I will encourage other students to like join this program. You will learn more things, and it's not only about the play also, but you get to meet these young people, university students who are ready to accept you, are ready to teach you, and your opinion matter to them, which is more important to me. If somebody accept my opinion and accept me the way I am, I just love the person. I love the people. And thank you guys for accepting me the way I am and listening to all my mistakes and listening to my compliments, even when I was not the one who wrote it. So thank you guys so much.
Oh, you're welcome, Joy. Oh my gosh.
Joy, thank you so much for that.
So sweet. Oh my
Thank you,
gosh.
Joy.
Yeah, all the ideas you had were amazing. I think that was my favorite part of the process, was just taking ideas from each other. And speaking of ideas, Meva, do you want to say something too?
Yeah, I just want to say, like, Joy has this thing where every time we have events, she'll say the most like sentimental, like just inspiring thing ever. And it just motivates like every student to talk. But I really like this whole play because and I think Joy kind of summed it up as well. Every time we come here, it's like, it didn't feel it like obviously we were working, but it felt also like it's like we knew each other. It's like we'd all talk as if it's like it was like a genuine natural thing. Like we talk about schools and we talk about sports and we just talk about everything. And it made it more natural, the play. It made me feel like I wasn't just talking to a bunch of university students who were just like staring at me. And I was afraid that if I got something wrong that they'd get mad at me. And I never felt like that. I felt like even though I made a mistake, like they would still understand, have a sense of compassion for me. So Carleton University students, like, I'm literally about to cry, guys. It's actually insane. And I can't cry because I just have mascara on my eyes, so I have to hold it in. So I feel really happy that I get to be part of plays like this because I don't even know what gentrification is. I didn't know anything like that. Like I thought we were gonna talk about like straight up racism, like a mean comment. And this really educated me on the place where I live, like the territory that I'm on, and the history of the community that I live in. And I think at the end of the day, I'm gonna leave this place. Well, this whole group, right? But we can still talk to each other. This whole group, and I'm gonna be like, wow, look, I in like 1 month, I've learned so many things that I probably would have been learned in school or with my parents, but it's okay. And I'm really happy. And thank you for Miss George and Mr. Boyle from SPK for sending us this link, and Miss Whitehouse, who's my vice principal from St. Peter's, and Miss Mellenbrook, who's my principal also. I want to thank these people because these people make me so happy and they motivate me. Like they're literally the ones who motivate me to come to these things and do it. Because if it wasn't for them, I would have not been here. But anyways, yeah. So I just really wanted to like say that and say my thank yous to everyone.
Oh my gosh,
Thank you so much, Meva.
So beautiful, you guys. I'm so glad you had as much fun as we did. I think definitely learning about gentrification with you guys is one of my favorite memories. Sarah, do we have time to answer any more questions or do we need to wrap it up?
Yeah, we're over time, so unfortunately we're gonna have to wrap it up, but thank you all so much for coming. If you guys have any last words, feel free to put them in the chat. A special thank you to Graham and Jelly Beatrice, Troy Crossfield, and Just Jamal the Poet for opening the show and getting us all ready to receive the presentations.
Thank you all. It was amazing.
Thank you, Jamal. And also to the students, all the best with the rest of your exams. For the high school students, I think you guys still have a ways to go before any big tests, but I'm sure they're coming up soon. So all the best with that. We will be hosting this class again next year in the winter. So folks will have the opportunity to participate again. So, oh, and lastly, all of the high school students that participated in this project were entered in for a draw. So I will let you guys know who the winner is afterwards. And those of you who were not successful will still be receiving swag from Carleton. So thank you so much for your participation. We really enjoyed having you, and we'll see you again next year.
And Sarah, thank you. Thank you from every one of us. We really appreciate you so much. You're brilliant, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for a great semester, everybody.
Thank you so
Thank you so much.
No.